Hello, welcome to Young's Crossing Creations. I have an interest in poetry. I used to write it a lot, and there's a few poems that I like better than others, and I'm going to do a project with one today. I bought this here. This is not my poem, but I bought this here today at the Goodwill. I think it was $6.49, and I'm going to sand this scripture off here and put my poem that I wrote on it. And I'm going to reverse the print on it and decoupage on it. But first I'm going to sand this off. And then I also am going to add a picture looking out my front door to the project. And we'll see how that turns out. First, let me get to sanding this off. I'm going to show you how I do the reverse print on my computer. I think it's a little different than the tutorial I was trying to learn on. So could be maybe you have the same program or same computer as I do. So I'll just show you how I go about it. I'm not saying it's the right way because sometimes I'm known to go the long way around. First, I go down to Word Program. Then I hit Blank Document. Then I'm going to go up here to Insert. And I want to insert a text box. I prefer to draw my own text box, so I'm clicking here. Hold down the left button on my mouse and draw a box. I can resize it later if need be. Now I'm going to go and retrieve a poem I have saved. So I'm going to File. This is it right here. Now I want to copy it, so I'm going to hold down the left button again and highlight the whole poem to the very end. Now on my keyboard, I'm going to go to Control, hold that down, and hit C. That copies it for me. So now I'm going to close this, and I'm back to my box I drew a while ago. And the cursor's there, so on my keyboard, I'm going to hit Control V. And there's my poem. However, I need it reversed. So we're in shape format already. So I'm going to go to Shape Effects. Right there. 3D rotation. And then I'm going to come down to the bottom of that. 3D rotation options. And over here it says X rotation. I'm going to change the 0 to 180. And now my poem is reversed. But if I were to print it now, it would have this gray on it, and I don't want that. So I go up here to the top and hit Shape Fill and go down to No Fill. Now if I print it, it would have this line around it, and I don't want that. So now I go to Shape Outline, No Outline. And now our poem is ready to print, and we can proceed with the project. Okay, I got the piece painted and I'm let it dry. I hope I let it dry enough. And I did the reverse print and I inserted an example of how I do that. And first, before I put it down with the decoupage, I was just going to tell you a little bit about the poem. I wrote it several years ago, and it's kind of dear to my heart because of, not that it's because it's great or anything, it's just because it's about someone I really cared about. My mom was a single mom, and in the summertime she would see if I could go stay with someone, and I used to go stay with this older couple, and I loved it. They were my babysitters, and you know, they treated me like a grandchild. But the wife passed away, and I started staying with the family of their niece. Their niece was my age, and I'd go there pretty much every summer. It was just the highlight of my summer. And I remember when I had to go home each year, she and I would run and hide, thinking I wouldn't have to go. And it was silly, but even when I got home, I would dream sometimes I was there, and I'd wake up and I wasn't, and I'd try to go back to sleep and be there again. But not that I didn't love being with my mom, but she worked a lot, and I just loved being there with this family, and they were so loving and kind and treated me like their own. And the wife was named Margie, and I think of Margie so many times. She was just a really hard-working, good lady. And I remember shelling peas with her on the porch and just all kinds of things. Going in the garden with her, and she was just a really unique person. And when I got married, I talked about this family to my husband all the time, and how I loved their house, and I loved going there, and how special it was. Well, finally one day we went there. It was a good 4-hour drive, and I was so excited, but then I was nervous. I was afraid, what if it's not the same as I remember? Well, we got there. Margie was the same. She was just beautiful as ever. And their home was just the same, only they had added indoor plumbing, which they didn't have when I was little and went there, and didn't bother me a bit. I was from the city and lived in apartments, and it was just such a exciting time when I went there. But anyway, I showed my husband around the place and told him about how great it was and what we did here, what we did there. And we went inside, and Margie was her warm, welcoming self. It was fabulous. We took lots of pictures. And then sadly we had to go home. That was back when you had to send your pictures off to be developed. Well, the pictures came back, and I was looking at them, and I noticed how cluttered the house was, and part of the ceiling was falling in a little bit, and wallpaper peeling, and everything in disarray. And I looked at it like the printing people messed up or something, and I asked my husband, is this what it looked like? He said, yeah. And I said, I don't remember it like that at all. And it occurred to me, they weren't concerned about material things and the way things looked. When you were there, they were concerned about you and how comfortable you were and how happy you were, which they went way above and beyond achieving that for me. So I thought about it, and I made this poem up because of that, and I call it When You Leave, and I try to strive and live by that. It's when you leave. When you leave our home today, I hope you will remember it in a special way, not by the dust and clutter you spied, but by the warmth and laughter shared inside. That's just them in a nutshell. So that's what I'm putting on my piece here that I'm working on. Okay, I got it all printed out, and I'm going to put Mod Podge down. I'm using Mod Podge matte. And I'm going to put the title up here on the top. And I've got my poem printed out backwards. So When I put it face down, it'll look okay when I take it off. Now, I trimmed, and this is supposed to be looking, well, it is, looking out my front door. And I trimmed, reprinted, trimmed, and I couldn't get it to look right. So, I don't know what it's going to turn out like, but that's it. Looks like it's on crooked, but it's just the way it had to be trimmed. And I'm going to rub all the bubbles out. We're going to leave this overnight. Let it dry thoroughly. And then tomorrow we'll rub it off. But I'm going to go ahead and paint the frame and everything with the Mod Podge, just using it as a sealer. I've got it all down. Now, I don't paint Mod Podge on the back. I leave that dry. And then tomorrow I'll come with some water and a cloth and rub it all off. But I'm painting the rest of the frame with the Mod Podge as a sealer for my DIY paint. This is Apothecary. I was looking for the name of it. I love this color. It's Apothecary. Just a really pretty green. Okay, it's dried overnight, so we're hopefully going to remove the paper and we'll have our project done. Okay, I have some water here in this little cloth, well, big cloth, and we'll just see what happens. I'm going to put a lot of water on the title up here, and I'm going to roll it back. This may seem sort of a strange project, but my sister is always urging me to do something with my poetry or my stories I write. So, this is for you, sis. Looks like there's going to be a problem there. Maybe not. I didn't know how this weather would affect it. It's pretty chilly out there. Well, mostly in here. I didn't know how it would dry between the chilliness and the humidity. I pretty much got that off the words. There's still some, but I want to get mostly around the edges, and I'm afraid if I get the words wetter than I have, they'll come off. Some have a little, but that's okay. To me, it looks a little bit more rustic that way, and I could repair it if I wanted. Now I'm going to tackle the picture. This is the part I told you that I'm not real sure about. A picture of the house might have been a better idea. But I was just thinking, when they're leaving, they're going out the front door. Well, not be as attractive as I thought it would be, but maybe it's kind of like one of those museum paintings that you look at and you think, huh? But then when you get a little closer and read the information on it and look at it again, you say, oh, okay, I see it now. So we'll just go for that. I'm going to go ahead and finish covering this with the Mod Podge and let it dry. Now I'll take it in and hang it on the wall. But I don't think it was real successful. I'll probably be stripping it down and do another project one day. But like I've said numerous times, you never know until you try. And we tried. I have another one in the house that I did a while back. Wasn't real pleased with it. That's why I was doing this one. But I think the other one looks good in hindsight compared to this. But it was fun to try. I think I just got in a bit of a hurry. Okay, I'll meet you in the house. There's our project. I hung it on the wall, and I'm still just not crazy about it. In the video, the green looks blue, but it's not. It's, like I said, apothecary green, and I'm just not real happy with it, but it was still fun to try. This is the one I made before. I think it turned out a lot better. It has the transfer on there, and it was just on a piece of board I had, and I think it looks a lot better. So I would probably, if I were to choose one to hang in my home, this one would probably be the one. Thank you for hanging out with me and going through this project, and I'm sorry it didn't turn out as I had envisioned it to. I want to thank all my subscribers, and if any of you could hit a thumbs up, I would appreciate it, or comment. And if you're not subscribed, I wish you'd consider doing so. And sometimes we get things right, sometimes we don't. Have a good day.